2 o'clock in the morning on the Greek islands, where migrants and refugees are protesting plans to send some of them back to Turkey. It's 3 a.m. in the Caucasus, where Azerbaijan says it's halting combat operations, but Armenia says attacks continue. And it's 1 a.m. in Brussels, where flights have resumed after the international airport was closed for almost 2 weeks following the terror attacks. Hello, I'm Lynda Kincaid, and this is CNN Today. It's now the middle of the night in Greece, where tens of thousands of migrants and refugees may be spending a sleepless night, unsure of what the coming days will bring. Monday, a controversial new deal between the European Union and Turkey is set to take effect. That means boats could soon begin taking migrants from Greece back across the Aegean Sea. Turkey agreed to take in migrants who recently arrived in Greece illegally and either failed to apply for asylum or were rejected. For each Syrian that Turkey receives, it will send another Syrian to Europe for resettlement. Tensions are running high in parts of Greece, where many wait to see what happens next. Journalist Lynda spoke to us earlier about the mood there.
Panic, I think, is the right word for how people are reacting right now. They're trying to see if they can leave the camps. They're saying that they do not want to go to Turkey. We hear that some new routes are about to open, that people will try what they can in order to get to their final destination. We seem to have part of that flow being diverted to Italy as much as possible. And what is certain is that people who have traveled such a long way, who are so determined to have a new life, will do what they can. And this means that they're an easy prey in the hands of smugglers. We understand that the prices for the journeys, so now that the route is more difficult, it's harder for them to get anywhere. The prices are going up as demand goes up. And what we expect to see in the days ahead is that this phenomenon just escalates as more desperate people try to make it to Europe.
Tensions are high as well along Austria's border with Italy. There, hundreds of demonstrators took to the streets over Austria's proposed border controls that would limit the passage of migrants. Scuffles broke out between Austrian police and several of those who were protesting. Well, joining me now to discuss the continuing migrant and refugee crisis is Bill Frilick. He's the director of the Refugee Program with Human Rights Watch. Thanks for being with us, Bill.
Thank you for having me.
Now, there are already more than 2.5 million Syrian refugees in Turkey. What conditions do they currently face?
The conditions are actually quite bad, and we don't know what the reception conditions are going to be for the people that will be returned from Greece. But what we can say for the long-term refugees that have been living in urban areas in Turkey is that about 80% of them that have children of school age have not been able to send their children to school. That despite assurances in January that there would be work authorization for Syrians, very few Syrians are getting work authorization, and the newer arrivals are having great difficulty in getting even registered for the temporary protection program that's supposed to be there for them.
And now in an article titled "Is Turkey Safe for Refugees?" which you wrote, you said that any Syrian, Iraqi or Afghan returned to Turkey would not be allowed to request refugee status there. Just explain why.
That's correct. The what's called the accession, the joining to the Refugee Convention that Turkey did, includes what's called a geographical limitation, which excludes any non-European from being considered legally as a refugee in Turkey. So Iraqis, Afghans, Syrians don't have refugee status, and one of the requirements of being considered a safe third country under European Union law is that the place to which you would be returned would allow you to get refugee status, and in addition to that, that country would respect all of the provisions of the Refugee Convention. And what we see in the case of Turkey is that it doesn't respect those provisions. It does send people back to Syria. It refuses them at the border. We've got tens of thousands of asylum seekers that are trying to get into Turkey as we speak and are being pushed back.
So this deal with the EU is meant to override that?
Well, it presumes that Turkey is a safe country, and in fact it's not. And so what they're trying to do is to basically return all of the Syrians and other nationalities as well to Turkey, and not really admit them into the asylum procedure in Greece, to make them inadmissible so they don't actually have to consider their claims for asylum, by saying that they would be safe if they were to be returned to Turkey. What we're saying is that Turkey clearly is not a safe third country. You can't just short-circuit the asylum procedures, and you have to do a determination of the particular circumstances of each of those people before you could send them back.
Now, some research by Amnesty International suggests that since mid-January, Turkish authorities have rounded up about 100 Syrian men, women and children and have forced them back into Syrian territory each day. Is there any reason to believe that report is exaggerated?
Well, we have not been able to confirm that ourselves. It doesn't mean to say that it's not an accurate report. It's just that as another NGO, we have focused on the people that were prevented from entering Turkey, and these are tens of thousands of people, maybe as many as 70,000 people that are trying to get into Turkey, that have fled from the Aleppo military offensive and have been pushed back. And that is also a violation of international refugee law. That violates the same principle of non-refoulement as it would be for sending people, deporting them back from Turkey. We've also found, in a way that confirms the Amnesty report, that many of the people in the southern districts of Turkey are having great difficulty in registering as refugees from Syria. And so if you're left without being able to register your claim, that does make you susceptible to being returned. And as I said, we don't have any information that would indicate that Amnesty's report is incorrect. We just are not able to confirm it at this time.
Bill, if this current proposal fails, if it doesn't work, what is a better solution?
Well, basically what you need to do is to build confidence by a voluntary system. So you should have a voluntary resettlement system that's in place. You should have the kind of support, the financial support that's been promised to Turkey from the European Union to ensure that children are able to go to school, that refugees do get health care. There should be great pressure put on Turkey to actually give equal rights, full refugee status to not just Syrian refugees, but to Afghan and Iraqi and other refugees as well. Bear in mind that the temporary protection regime is only on behalf of Syrians, and many of those Syrians have trouble accessing registration for that very regime.
Okay, we'll have to see what happens in the coming hours when they start to send boats back. Bill Frilick, Director of the Refugee Program with Human Rights Watch, thank you very much.
Thank you.